Over the last decades, temperatures have been rising due to human activities, glaciers have been melting, and biodiversity is more and more in danger. Since our oceans absorb 90% of the atmospheric heat, all these changes are having huge negative impacts on them. The sea level has been continuously rising, and this phenomenon is creating chemical imbalances, such as water acidification. Indeed, our oceans absorb around 30% of the annual CO2 emissions, so all these changes are having huge negative impacts on them. They led to an increase of 26% on the level of water acidity, and this has already caused the loss of 14% of the coral reefs in just under a decade. However, nature lent us a helping hand to solve part of these problems, and here we are, ready to accept the challenge. This is how Oyster to Life was born. With our project, we want to exploit oyster shells at their full potential. Oceans are the Earth's lungs, and oysters help them breathe. From literature, it is known that 1 square kilometer with 50 living oysters per square meter removes 4 tons of nitrogen and 40 tons of carbon from water annually. So, oysters are a precious resource, and we cannot afford to dispose of them incorrectly, wasting their potential. Carrying out more detailed research on the shellfish industry, we discovered that in Italy, most of the discarded shells come from the bivalve purification centers. These centers are the middle step between oyster farming and the final consumers, and they have the aim of reducing the contamination level by bacteria to a safe, acceptable level for human consumption. Currently, most of the discarded shells end up into incinerators. However, through this linear economic model, we are wasting a resource that instead could be looped back into the value chain through a circular economic model, going from being a simple waste with no value to being a resource that instead could bring both profits and benefits for the environment. Italy has about 500 centers, which cumulatively discard 32,500 tons of mussel yearly, which is the equivalent of the weight that will be carried by 297 aircrafts, so this quantity is really huge. To dispose of all these shells, they face around 6 million euros in annual expenses. This is why we will enter our project, to give a more valuable end of life to these shells.
Oyster to Life will collect discarded oyster shells from the Italian purification centers. The shells will be then mixed with other materials to create a reef that will be positioned into the Adriatic Sea, and the reef will become home to different restored marine species, and will help also to mitigate coastline erosion, which is another problem affecting seafront communities. How does the ecosystem repopulate? First of all, the reefs will provide a shelter for the oyster larvae, increasing their chances to survive, grow, and contribute to sea acidification. This is extremely important. Also,
how does our project work? There are 5 main steps. The first step is the collection of oyster shell from Shellfish Purification Center. The second step is the sterilization with the warehouses thanks to autoclave. Then the blocks will be mixed to create multiple blocks. The first step is the placement of the sea to create the reef. Here, the reef will contribute the positive impacts mentioned before. The final step consists in the control and monitor of the reef. Our idea is that all this project will be managed directly by Oyster to Life, because they represent the core business of our project, except for the logistic operations, which will be outsourced. In order to make Oyster to Life a concrete reality, we started 4 main partnerships with CESTO, a non-profit marine research center that has the purpose of protecting the marine environment; Naturabilis, a team of experts in the aquaculture field; Camilla Bertolini, a marine biologist and a researcher at Ca' Foscari University; World Rise Onlus, a non-profit organization designed by young people for developing projects to enhance the marine environment. They are helping us also in the development of the pilot project. Its goal is to assess the feasibility of our idea before entering the market and scaling up the project. The pilot started in November 2022, when we designed the blocks that will become part of the final result. In December 2022, they were produced thanks to a three-dimensional printing and a molding process. Then, in January 2023, the first 3 block prototypes were placed in tanks, where oyster larvae had the best conditions to underdevelop on the blocks and grow. It was very touching for all of us to see the first oysters growing on the blocks we built. Thanks to the pilot project, we will be able to, while starting from June 2023, they will be placed in a dedicated area in the Adriatic Sea, close to Marina di Ravenna, where we will start the monitoring and control phase to check how many oysters will grow and how many other species will populate that area. Thanks to the pilot project, we will be able to validate our idea and estimate some of the costs related to the production of the reef and the other operations linked to the supply chain. In fact, looking at the economic model of the project, the main costs that we will have to face are logistics, shell eating treatment, and reef production. In order to estimate them as precisely as possible, we also got in touch with some of our potential customers, the Shellfish Purification Center, and thanks to their data, we were able to define a possible market scenario.
First, we assume to start our business in Emilia-Romagna, since it's one of the Italian regions where there is the highest density of purification centers, one of our main customers, and where there is the need of restoring the native oysters colonies. We will collect the discarded shells at least once a week from them. A purification center will give us about 10 tons of waste per month. These shells will then be taken to a storage center, thus adopting a hub-and-spoke network, where we will also implement the activities for creating the reefs. To ensure the economic sustainability of the project, for the cost analysis, we were able to identify that the highest costs are generated by the production activities. However, the revenues we estimated will be enough to cover all these costs and generate positive profits. To ensure the economic sustainability of the project, we will target 2 main customers in the B2B market. The first one will be shellfish purification centers. They pay waste management companies to dispose of discarded oyster shells. Our objective is to collect shells from those centers by offering them a collection service at a lower price compared to already operating competitors. Our second business clients will be private companies that have their business in the Adriatic Sea, such as wind turbine manufacturers and public institutions. The government would be also interested in our reef, since it will be able to improve the quality of the local territory. In this way, by targeting these 2 customers, we will be able to add value to our project, since we will cover the entire value chain of the oyster industry, starting from upstream and arriving downstream. However, to make the project even more solid, we have started to analyze other revenue streams that are even more innovative. In fact, they will be based on new applications of the discarded oyster shells. We're currently evaluating the use of shells in the production of the vermicompost and in the form of spirulina algae in the agricultural field. Another possibility we are considering is the use of oyster shells for the restoration of polluted soil. So, how is our project innovative? First, we are the first project that will realize reefs starting from waste, turning it into a valuable resource. Second, we will be the first project in Italy that will go beyond the research phase and become a concrete business.
In the meanwhile, we have taken part to events and organized our own to raise awareness of ocean conditions. For instance, we participated at the Ocean Film Festivals, at several conventions, and recently we organized our own events in order to expand our community, engage new people in fun activities, and educate children and so the future generations on ocean problems. And thanks to all these events, we have already reached more than 5,000 people, and we will keep going. Furthermore, in February, we won the Italian phase of the Innova Europe Challenge, organized by top European business schools in collaboration with Microsoft Italia, and we will represent Italy at the European phase. We are so proud of this achievement, and this represents an opportunity to make our life grow and expand. But what we have told you so far is also like now. But of course, we have long-term plans. We started to attract interest over the Enactus project around the world, which want to have positive impacts on the marine environment, such as the project Underwater Ledges by Enactus Hawaii, with whom we consider the possibility of a future collaboration leveraging our common goals. After the pilot project, when we have finished to assess the scientific feasibility of our idea, we will start to fully implement our business models at a small scale in order to completely validate it. And our expectation is also to expand our project in other European countries in order to maximize the positive impacts. For instance, one possibility would be Portugal, since we have seen that in this country there are lots of shellfish purification centers, which are one of our main stakeholders. Since November 2020, when the project was born, 15 actors with different backgrounds worked together to make concept life a concrete reality. And we spent about 14,000 hours of volunteering because we really believe in the potentiality of this project to make a change in the world. So, this is Oyster to Life.
Everyone deserves a second chance.
Second Life for Oysters.
Oyster to Life.
But we are not done. Because in our team, we are also working on another project that probably some of you already know. We are talking about SHIMAC, a project in which recently there have been important developments, and soon you will receive news. We are students committed to making a sustainable growth of our planet. We are Enactus POLIMI. Thank you.
We will now begin the question and answer session. So judges, please, if you have questions, raise your hand. And I need a microphone.
Yeah, question on the PNL. You're reporting 4,000 euro per month in expenses. I expect that these are current expenses. What about the capital you need for implementing this project?
Yeah, so about the capital, of course, our idea is that for the first phase, when we will implement our project at a small scale, mainly, for example, the logistics part will be outsourced. So, for example, we will not have to sustain the costs related to the for buying a truck, for example. So basically, our main cost would be related to this. So the outsourcing of the logistics. But then, as we said, the main cost would be the production. And of course, for this, we would need the use of some machines. But our idea is that we are working with our partners, and they have already, for example, the autoclave and this kind of machines that we need them for implementing. So we have an agreement with them, and our expectation is to implement at a small scale this using their machines. So basically, the main cost would be mainly related to the, for example, man hours. So this, and for instance, when we will have the participation of the Nova Europe, we'll have to present our project to venture capitalists. So our hope is to receive from them some fundings.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much for the presentation. I think it's a very nice project. And one of the parts that I didn't like was about the citizen engagement, right? And you're doing all this activity, but you also reported 40,000 hours of volunteering service. How can you survive without the 14,000 hours?
Yeah, we estimated these 14,000 hours of volunteering because the project started in November 2028. And the point was that we started from a little group composed by 5 members, and then after the years we arrived, now we are about 30 people working on this project. And we are divided into sub-teams, so we are very well organized in doing this. Every sub-team is specialized in these teams. And so we spent about 5 hours per week in working on this project.
Also, the setting up phase is really crucial. So these 14 hours are spent, and we will spend also more just to make sure that when the time we will the time when sorry, the time when we will start producing and operating directly, we will be ready to do everything as smooth as possible. And so these hours are from us students. That's why we can have them free, because they come from us believing in this project. After we are set up completed after we complete the setup of the project, everything will go down here, because we will need really few personnel and operation initially. Of course, when we will expand, we start hiring contractors, we start hiring truck drivers, and so on. But in the first phase, we can stay really compressed and on low staff, also to say keep the cost low, especially in the first phase, which is the critical phase.
So the idea is that once you start, you will be able to continue with the engagement, with the public engagement, even without the volunteering. You will be able to cover the cost also for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We hope so. Any other questions?
A quick question, you mentioned the 3D printing. Is it with plastic or what material are you printing?
The plastic one you saw in the video is just the form, which was used to visualize the 3D model that we created on the computer to see if this was something viable. After that, we took a mold and we used the shells plus some bioresins and cement, all materials that are eco-compatible, of course, and created the real tiles. The plastic one that you saw was just a prototype.
And where is the cement from?
Right now it's just something that we use common materials. We are studying the possibility of using oyster shells treated in a special way to create a cement that actually was used since the Roman times. So it's something that is really consolidated. Of course, in the
As expired. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.